Mathematics, surveying, transportation engineering, and constructions. Definition of terms. Match the following test on aggregate and its properties. It is a type of hazard control, considered to be the most effective. It involves physically removing the hazards. Elimination. What is the designation of a worker trained and tasked by the employer to implement occupational safety and health programs in accordance with the provision of the occupational safety and health standards? Construction Safety and Health Officer. When a path is traveled along the road surface is more than the circumferential movement of the tires due to rotation, what is the resulting motion of the tires? Skidding. It is a vertical curve that occurs when a negative gradient is followed by a positive. Sag curve. An iceberg demonstrates the relationship between direct and indirect costs of accidents, in which, on the average, the indirect costs exceed the direct costs. The following are examples of an indirect cost, except cleanup time. Identify the proper sequence on the following. Four, 3, 2, 1. This refers to the type of use of a building for interior space, such as an office, a restaurant, a private residence, or a school. Uses of such are grouped based on similar life safety characteristics, fire hazards, and combustible contents. Occupancy. What is the maximum distance, as specified in the construction contract, that the contractor is expected to transport soil material without receiving additional payment? Freehold distance. Which of the following are the fundamental principles that should be observed in the application of upper retarders? The retarder should be as near as possible to the warm side of the insulation, or warm face of assembly, and the retarder should be installed by a method suitable for the specific condensation hazard. the bringing of a concrete surface to true grade, with enough mortar to produce the desired finished, after the concrete slab has been screeded, is called blank. Leveling. Immediate following, or during edging, pre-molded inserts are placed in a concrete slab to control cracking in the concrete as a result of shrinkage, is known as blank. Jointing. Blank rounds off the formed edge of a slab to prevent chipping or damage. Edging. In general, blank may be done when the water sheen has disappeared, and the concrete will support the weight of the finisher. Floating. Medium slump to high slump concrete should be compacted and worked into place by blank. Puddling. Blank is the occurrence of numerous fin hair cracks in the surface of a newly hardened slab due to surface shrinkage. Crazing. Blank is the appearance of a powdery material on the surface of a newly hardened concrete slab. Dusting. The dry materials used in making quality concrete are heavier than water. Thus, shortly after placement, they have a tendency to settle to the bottom and displace the mixing water to the surface, which is called blank. Bleeding. Blank is the breaking away of the hardened concrete surface of a slab to a depth of about 1/6 or 3/16 inches. It usually occurs at an early age of the slab. Scaling. The movement of plastic concrete into its final position is called blank. Placing. Steel troweled concrete surfaces are very smooth and become slippery when wet. They can be slightly roughened to produce a non-slip surface by brushing them. Broom finishing. Which of the following is the correct step-by-step process of finishing standard weight concrete slabs in chronological order? The elements to consider when planning national roads. All of the above. A measure of material's ability to resist indentation. or penetration. Hardness. An increase in soil density of the cohesive soil, resulting from the expulsion of water from the soil's void spaces. Consolidation. The process of injecting any agent into soil or rock to increase its strength or stability, protect foundations, or reduce groundwater. Grouting. Every construction project shall have a suitable blank, which must be in accordance with these rules and other orders and issuances issued by the dole. Construction Safety and Health Program. It represents the component of vehicle weight, which acts parallel to an inclined surface. Grade resistance. Blank is the type of thermoplastic lane marking designed to aid and provide motorist with visual, audio, and motion warning on the road. Rumble strip. It is the timing of signals in relationship to one another so that vehicles traveling at a determined speed can pass through the greens of successive signals. Signal coordination. If it is considered to be the basic unit of travel behavior, it is also involve movement from single origin to a single destination, and are usually described in terms of their origins, destinations, purposes, time of occurrence, travel modes, and routes. Trip. It is nothing more than a column driven into the soil to support a structure by transferring building loads to a deeper and stronger layers of soil or rock. Pile. What is the color of the loading and unloading zone marking? Red. Every construction project shall have a suitable construction safety and health program, which must be in accordance with these rules and other orders and issuance issued by the dole. It is a human action that deviates from a commonly accepted safe procedure or standard operations that could permit an occurrence of an accident. Risk. This is a source or situation with a potential cause to harm in terms of injury, ill health, damage to property, damage to the environment, or a combination of these. Hazard. In a horizontal angle layout, this is a procedure that involves turning the angle twice and making the line of sight each time at the point. If two lines result, an average is established to create the line. Typically, it is not used on every point, it is used on the critical points, as needed. Double centering. It is a manner of moving a straight edge back and forth with saw-like motion across the top of the forms. Screeding. Blank is a measure of a material's ability to withstand cyclic stresses. When repeatedly stressed, even at stresses below yield strength, many materials will fracture without warning. Fatigue resistance. What is the reaction time to be used for the road safety design? This value is applied to the whole range of design speeds. .5 seconds. Which of these structural properties are key part of structural material selection process for harbor and coastal construction? All of the above. The provision of safety sight distance depends on the characteristics of the road environment, such as all of the above. A project can be considered to be any series of activity and task that all of the above. If the standard deviation of a set of observations is 0, you can conclude that all observations are the same value. Which of the following reasons will not cause a contract change? Unforeseen conditions. What are some of the important properties of queuing diagrams? All of the above. Delineation of the road alignment needs to be considered as part of the design process to ensure that adequate guidance is provided to road users. Delineation is generally provided by the use of the following devices. All of the above. The safe capacity of piles driven by powered hammers is based on the following data. All of the above. A method of protecting workers from cave-ins by excavating the sides of an excavation to form one or a series of horizontal level or steps, usually with a vertical or near vertical surfaces between levels. Benching. Because concrete is unable to maintain a particular shape before it sets, it must be placed in a form or mold. In building construction, this is called formwork. It occurs after the completion of construction and the resolution of the majority of punch list and commissioning issues. Turnover of a project. It is an informal group discussion that focuses on a particular safety issue. These can be used daily to promote department safety culture, as well as to facilitate health and safety discussions on job sites, is known as toolbox meeting. A formal or legally binding agreement between two parties is referred to as contract. This drawing has elevation as its vertical axis, and horizontal distance, as measured along the center line of the facility, as its horizontal axis. Profile. It is a measure of a material's ability to dissipate or deaden mechanical vibrations. Damping capacity. If you are preparing a report on PERT CPM network in a construction job, what time scheduling should you consider in the preparation of the PERT CPM network diagram? All of the above. It provides the detailed requirements for the materials, equipment, and workmanship to be incorporated into the project. Specifications. Signs that inform road users about the direction and distances of destinations on the route they are following, or along other roads that intersect their route. Guide signs. The bucket volume contained within the bucket, when following the outline of the bucket sides, is referred to as plate line capacity. A method of protecting employees from cave-ins from material that could fall or roll from an excavation face or into an excavation or collapse of adjacent structures. This includes support systems, sloping and benching systems, shield systems, and other systems that provide the necessary protection. Protective system. Operating a motor vehicle on a street or highway can be complex. and demanding at times, but it can be boring at other times. These range of circumstances, coupled with the range of driver capabilities, presents a challenge to the highway designer. It is helpful to begin by considering the three essential elements, such as navigation, guidance, and control, is referred to as driving task. What are the capacity requirement for all scaffoldings? At least 4 times its own weight. Signs used to guide drivers through a change in horizontal alignment of the road. Chevron signs. The berth structure projecting out from the shoreline. Pier. The basic lane width appropriate for national road. .35 meters. Which of the following best describes the determination of the traffic capacity? Density. Basic concept for design in construction is called design of structure. Any source of potential damage, harm, or adverse health effects on something or someone is called hazard. These are circumstances or deviation from standard condition which could permit an occurrence of accident or incident. Hazard. What is the single most important environmental factor considered in coastal engineering? Wave. The chance or probability that a person will be harmed or experience an adverse health effect if exposed to a hazard. Risk. It is a combination of the likelihood of an occurrence of a hazardous event with specified period in specified circumstances, and the severity of injury or damage of health of the people, property, environment, or any combination of these, caused by event. Risk. Which of the following is used in determination of the critical path method? Network. Of all through the network, the critical path has the maximum expected time. What are the procedures of preparation of the critical path method? All of the above. What are the procedures used to position the vertical crosshair so that it will lie in a plane perpendicular to the horizontal axis? All of the above. Which of the following are true procedures in measuring zenith angle? One, 3, and 4 only. Which of the following are the concept of safe design for construction? One, 3, 4, and 5. Which of the following is the calculation of the probability that the critical path will be completed by the time? Three only. Which of the following satisfy the requirement for estimating expected activity times in PERT networks? All of the above. Compacting applies energy to soil, consolidate it by compressing air voids to increase the soil's dry density. Which of these are the objectives of proper compacting? One, 2, 3, and 4. When train passes on curves, which have no super elevation, it will give thrust on their inner side of outer rail. It occurs as concrete hardens, being greater in wet mixes. Curing helps to limit effects, and therefore, concrete in the actual structure should be thoroughly and continuously moistened for some considerable period after placing. Shrinkage. An application of hot bitumen material given to the old surface to provide adhesion to the old and new road surface is referred to as tack coat. The single, initial application of bituminous material to an existing bituminous, Portland concrete, or block surface, or base, is called prime coat. Waves are formed by the frictional drag of wind across the water surface. This is a process of transferring energy from wind to water. Water particles are moved from their position by the wind, and then returned to the original position by gravity, which is a restoring force. These waves are called gravity waves. It is the probability of a mechanism that will function satisfactorily. If the mechanism is to operate intermittently and briefly, it is also refers to performance on a given occasion. If the mechanism is to operate continuously, it refers its performances for a specific period of time. Reliability. The sound creaks and groans that one hears inside the building are in fact material response to external stimuli, such as heart, wind, and gravity loads. This stimuli fall into 4 categories. What are these major properties that exhibited by materials? Ionic bonding, metallic bonding, covalent bonding, and secondary bonding. The process of providing the required water and maintaining a favorable temperature for a period of time after placing concrete is referred to as curing. It is a construction operation that concrete should be protected, so that moisture is not lost during the early stages of hardening, and it should be kept at a temperature that will promote hydration, and also protect against injury from subsequent construction activities. Curing. What is the ideal capacity of the road in vehicle per hour? (2,000). Which of the following are true statements? All normal curves are bell-shaped and symmetric. When inside the building, one may notice unusual sounds and change in the building. What causes these events? Temperature. It is described as the expected number of production. Mean. What is the worst condition which should be considered in relation to the design of coastal defense works? Combination of unusually high sea level with severe wave action. Which is more accurate parameter of traffic capacity? Volume or density? Why? Density is more accurate. Only density is a function of cars in a given length of roadway. One of the provisions of safety sight distance depends on the characteristics of the vehicle, which are as follows. All of the above. The provision of safety sight distance depends on the characteristics of the road environment, such as one, 2, and 3 only. Blank, to level a floor or layer of concrete with straight edge, using a back and forth motion while moving across the surface. Screeding. Blank is nothing more than a column driven into the soil to support a structure by transferring building loads to a deeper and stronger layer of soil or rock. Piles. Blank inform and advise road users of directions, distances, routes, the location of services for road users, and points of interest. Guide signs. Blank is the difference between the actual travel time and a given segment of a transportation system, and some ideal travel time for that segment. Delay. Blank are written instructions detailing how the facility is to be constructed. Specifications. Owing to retardation of the tidal wave in the ocean by frictional force, as the Earth revolves daily around its axis, and as the tide tends to follow the direction of the Moon, the highest tide for each location is not coincident with conjunction and opposition, but occurs at some constant time after new and full moon. This interval, which may amount to as much as 2.5 days, is known as age of tides. Cracks, approximately at right angles to the pavement's centerline. These may be caused by shrinkage or differential thermal stress of the asphalt concrete, or may be reflective cracks. Transverse cracking. Wearing away of the pavement surface, caused by dislodging of aggregated particles and binder. This is usually a result of insufficient asphalt binder in the mix, or stripping of asphalt from particles of aggregate. Raveling. What is the bulk composition of concrete? All of the above. Ways of avoiding traffic conflicts. All of the above. Most important process to prepare concrete. Batching. How do you test the relative consistency of concrete? Slump test. Device mounted on a fixed support or portable support, whereby a specific message is conveyed by means of words or symbols placed or erected for the purpose of regulating, warning, or guiding traffic. Traffic signs. A maximum wave height and wave period of the maximum wave height in wave train. significant wave. What is the process of proportioning cement, water, aggregates, and additives prior to mixing concrete is called batching. When directly generated and affected by local winds, a wind wave system is called wind sea. Players A and B match pennies n times. They keep a tally of their gains and losses. After the first toss, what is the chance that, at no time during the game, will they be even? N times n, divided by 2 exponent 10. A wave generated in deep water, when reaching shoaling waters, changes not only in its height, but also in its length, but the period will blank. Decrease. In the measures of congestion, of highway capacity, what will happen as the density continues to increase? The point is reached, at which speed declines noticeably. The passengers on an excursion bus consisted of 14 married couples, 8 of whom brought no children, and 6 of whom brought 3 children apiece. Counting the driver, the bus has 31 occupants. How is this possible? Included among the 18 children were 8 married couples. Which of the following are the true procedures in measuring zenith angle? One, 3, and 4 only. It is the maximum number of vehicles which have a reasonable expectation of passing over a given section of a lane or a roadway in one direction or in both directions during 1 hour under prevailing road and traffic conditions. Road capacity. What percentage of the tide of the water level which is safe to ships' depth of berth? %98. What is the standard sign shape which is generally used for guide signs? Rectangle. Which is not a characteristics of contour? Contours on the ground can cross another. In many parts of the world, the high waters reach their greatest height, and the low waters at the least height. Soon after the time of full and new moon, this tide are called spring tides. The purpose of installing edge lines is generally based on the following, except one. except to delineate the edge of the traveled way, to distinguish it from the shoulder area. During the baseball practice, a batter hits a very high fly ball, and runs in a straight line, and catches it. Which has the greater displacement, the player, or the ball? The player and the ball have the same displacement. Waves, under the influence of the winds that generated them, are called swell. The maximum sustained 15 minutes rate of flow, expressed in passenger cars per hour, per lane, which can be accommodated by a uniform freeway segment, under prevailing traffic and roadway conditions, in one direction. Capacity. Worn road users, of condition on, or adjacent to the road, that may be unexpected, or hazardous. Warning signs. It is the maximum number of vehicles which have a reasonable expectation of passing over a given section of a lane or a roadway in one direction or in both directions during 1 hour under prevailing road and traffic conditions. Road capacity. Which of these following statements below best describes the principles of isosceles and equilateral triangles? All of the above. Which of the following are true statement? Three only. While there are differences among a transit, a theodolite and a total station, all these instruments are designed along the same fundamental relationships, or principal lines. The geometric relationship are as follows. Two, 3, and 5, only. What is the meaning of MLLW? Mean, lower, low, water. The ratio of the wave height to its wavelength is called steepness. Blank is the primary consideration in the design of geometric cross-sections for highways, runways, and taxiways. Drainage. Waves, which fall forward, since the forward velocity of the crest exceed the velocity of propagation of the wave itself. In deep water, this normally occurs when the wave velocity, L, is less than 7 times the wave height. Breaking wave. blank is the maximum number of vehicles, passenger, or the like, which can be accommodated by a given facility or system under given condition at a given level of service. Volume. This type of control on the object on the job site is commonly identified as primary, secondary, and working. Horizontal control. Given the geometric relationships, which of these statements are true? All of the above. The following are the step-by-step procedures for calculating azimuths clockwise. Which of these procedures are true? One, 2, 3, and 4 only. A wave generated in deep water when reaching shoaling waters changes not only in its height, but also in its length, but the period will decrease. This should always be shown on site plans for orientation purposes. Displaying it prominently is the standard practice. North directions. What is the least number of links that must be disengaged from a 23-link chain, so that any number of links from 1 to 23 can be obtained by taking one or more of the pieces? 4. They are normally parabolas, centered about the point of intersection of the vertical tangents. They join. Vertical curve. Two angles, whose sum is 360 degrees. Conjugate angle. Shoulder paving is a valuable method of providing all of the above. Identify the proper sequence on the following. Four, 3, 2, 1. Lane line must not be continued on the following cases. One, 2, and 3 only. The expression x sub t minus x is defined to be absolute error in x, where x sub t is the true value of the quantity and x is the measured value or value stored in a computer. If the true value of the quantity is 3.5 and the absolute error must be less than 0.05, find the acceptable measured values. X is less than 3.55 and greater than 3.45. any structure built into the sea, but not parallel to the coastline, and includes any stage, stair landing place, landing state jetty, floating barge, or pontoon, any bridge, or other works connected therewith. Pier. Blank, inform, and advise road users of directions, distances, routes, the location of services for road users, and points of interest. Guide sign. Blank is a type of thermoplastic lane marking designed to aid and provide motorist with visual, audio, and motion warning on the road. Rumble strips. An open water of navigable depth is called fairway. Their warrant for the use of safety barriers can be established, considering all of the above. The design of overtaking lanes and climbing lanes requires the consideration of the following. All of the above. Minimum K value, vertical curve, should be selected on the basis of 3 controlling factors. One, 2, and 3 only. Lane line must not be continued on the following cases. One, 2, and 3 only. Planned water depth is considered as follows. For a ship with draft of 7.5 meters, find the standard water depth of berth for the ship. An experiment consists of selecting 3 items from a box or several items. The 3 items are classified defective or non-defective as they are selected. Give the sample space for this experiment, which outcomes are in the events A, B, C, where A is exactly 1 defective. Wave, at a point where the water depth is equal to 1/2 the wavelength, or greater, to be expressed in terms of the parameters of significant waves. Deep water wave. It is defined as the number of vehicles per unit distance occupying a section of roadway at a given instant in time, and is usually measured in vehicles per mile or per kilometer. Density. A continuous structure built parallel to along the margin of the sea or alongside river banks canals, or waterways, where vessels may lie alongside to receive or discharge cargo, or disembark passengers, or lie at rest. Wharf. What are 4 types of pavement and curb markings? Longitudinal lines, transverse lines, other lines, and other markings. Messages, when painted on pavement, should be limited to how many words only? Three words, or less. Which of the following is the most important consideration in avoiding bias in surveying? Sending out a large enough number of surveys, so that, even if the response rate is low, you will have sufficient numbers of responses to do statistical analysis. Standard sign shape for stop sign. Octagon. Standard sign shape for give-way sign. Circle. Standard sign shape for regulatory sign. Equilateral triangle. Standard sign shape for additional information. Rectangle. Standard sign shape for warning sign. Equilateral triangle. Standard sign shape for directional sign, roadwork sign, signs for special purposes, and supplementary plates for warning sign. Rectangle. Standard sign shape for facility information signs, instruction signs, guide signs, and destinations of point of interest. Rectangle. Standard sign shape for pedestrian and school crossing sign. Pentagon. It is a violation of an accepted safe procedure, which could permit the occurrence of an accident. Unsafe act. A hazardous physical condition or circumstance which could directly permit the occurrence of an accident. Unsafe condition. It is advisable for a site plan to contain a large-scale map of the overall area, and to indicate where the project is located on the site. Vicinity map. Signs that inform road users of the traffic laws and regulations which are disregarded will constitute an offense. Regulatory signs. Signs that instruct road users to meet certain traffic rule requirements on road condition. Special instruction sign. Signs which warn road users of condition on or adjacent to the road may be unexpected or hazardous. Warning signs. Signs which warns or advise temporary hazardous conditions that could endanger road users or the men and equipment engaged on roadworks. Roadworks signs. Signs which provide means of displaying essential traffic information on wide multi-lane roads, where some degree of lane use control is required, or where side of road clearance is insufficient to accommodate a roadside sign. Overhead signs. Signs which inform and advise road users of directions, distances, routes, and the location of services for road users and point of interest. Guide signs. The speed limit appropriate on lower Standard Expressway. (80 or 90 km/h). Blank is the process of increasing the density of a soil by mechanically forcing the soil particles closer together, thereby expelling air from void spaces in the soil. Compaction. Blank is an increase in soil density of the cohesive soil, resulting from the expulsion of water from the soil's void spaces. Consolidation. The process of giving natural soil enough abrasive resistance and shear strength to accommodate traffic or design load is called blank. Ground modification. Blank, or placing additional weight on the soil surface, has long been used to densify cohesive soils. Surcharging. It involves dropping a heavy weight from a crane onto the ground surface to achieve soil densification. Dynamic compaction. Blank is the process of densifying cohesionless soils by inserting a vibratory probe into the soil. vibroflotation. In highway construction, the process of cutting down the high spots and filling in low spots of each roadway layer is called balancing. Highway appurtenances, designed to prevent vehicular penetration from the travelway to areas behind the barrier, such as to minimize damage to impacting vehicles and their occupants, and to reduce the risk of injuries to pedestrians and workers. Barriers. Warning devices, used to supplement other controls and devices necessary to alert motorists of construction and maintenance activities or obstructions in the roadway. Flashing lamps. Light retro-reflecting devices, mounted at the side of the roadway, in series, to indicate the roadway alignment. Delineators. Devices, which may be conical in shape, or tubular-shaped, are capable of performing channelization of traffic, which may be set on the surface of the roadway, or rigidly attached for continued use. Traffic cones. Roadwork devices, consisting of precast concrete sections, sandbag, and others, which may be used to guide traffic at the construction site. Temporary curbing. Device, used in place of rigid cones, with a minimum of 450 mm by 50 mm wide, with alternate bands of contrasting color, as seen by approaching traffic, for delineation of traffic. Flexible post, or bollard. Means any traffic control device, marked on the surface of the carriageway, used to regulate traffic, or to warn, or guide road users. Road markers. Looking at the possibility of injury, or harm, occurring to a person, if exposed to a hazard. Risk assessment. Recognizing things which may cause injury or harm to a person. Hazard identification. Introduction of measures which will eliminate or reduce the risk of a person being exposed to a hazard. Risk control. Rule blank is the guidelines regarding personal protective equipment. (1080). an unexpected event, which results in serious injury or illness of an employee, and may also result in property damage. Accident. An instance of something happening, an unexpected event or occurrence, that doesn't result in serious injury or illness, but may result in property damage. Incident. A hypothetical wave, having a wave height and period equal to average values of the wave height and period of the largest 1/3 of all waves in the train, as counted in the order of greater wave height. Significant wave. Waves, which occur in water, having a depth less than 1/2 of the wavelength, and the influence of the bottom, changes the form, or orbital motion, from circular to elliptical, or near elliptical. Shallow water wave. The pressure against a vertical wall, due to waves. Clapotis. The regular, periodic rise and fall of the surface of the seas, observable along their shores. Tide. Waves generated by storms, which occurred outside the area of observations. Swells. A very long-standing wave, on a large, but limited body of water, generally occurring when a storm dies down, after producing a wide tide. H. An instrument used to measure the intensity of wind. Beaufort's scale. In many parts of the world, the high waters reach their greatest height, and the low waters at the least height, soon after the time of full moon and new moon. These tides are called blank. Spring tide. When the lines connecting the Earth with the Sun and the Moon form a right angle, that is, the Moon is in its quarters, then the actions of the Moon and the Sun are subtractive, and the lowest tides of the month occur. This is called blank. Neap tide. The periodic rise and fall of sea level in response to the gravitational attraction of the Sun and Moon, as modified by the Earth's rotation. Astronomical tide. The Philippine Ports Authority requires that water level that guarantees about water depth for safety of the ships berthing on a certain port and harbor below the mean low water should be equal to blank. (0.15 to 0.40 meter). Joints placed in concrete pavements which are usually placed transversely, at regular intervals, to provide adequate expansion space for the slab to expand when the pavement is subjected to an increase in temperature. Expansion joint. Joints, placed in concrete pavements, which are usually placed transversely, at regular intervals, across the width of the pavement, to release some of the tensile stresses that are due to a decrease in temperature. Contraction joint. Joints, placed in concrete pavements, which are usually placed transversely across the pavement width, to provide suitable transition between concrete, placed at different times, or on different days. Construction joint. Joints, placed in concrete pavements, at right angles to the center line of the pavement, is called blank. Transverse joint. Markings, which are placed on sealed shoulders, or other sealed portions of the road, where traffic is not desired. Diagonal markings. The time for mixing of ingredients for a concrete cement road should be done for at least blank. .5 minutes. Any temporary elevated platform used for supporting employees or materials, or both, in the course of any construction works. Scaffold. The number of days final curing for a concrete cement pavement is done for blank. (14 days). It is defined as the number of vehicles per unit distance occupying a section of roadway at a given instant time. Density. The number of vehicles moving in a specified direction on a given lane or roadway that pass a given point during specified unit time. Traffic volume. The ability of a roadway to accommodate traffic volume. It is expressed as the maximum number of vehicle in a lane or a road that can pass a given point in unit time. Traffic capacity. The maximum number of passenger cars that can pass a given point on a lane or roadway during 1 hour under the most nearly ideal roadway and traffic conditions which can possibly be attained. Basic capacity. The maximum number of passenger cars that can pass a given point on a lane or roadway during 1 hour under prevailing roadway and traffic condition. Possible capacity. the maximum number of passenger cars that can pass a given point on a lane or roadway during 1 hour, without traffic density being so great as to cause unreasonable delay, for restrictions to the driver's freedom to maneuver under traffic conditions. Practical capacity. Cracks, approximately at right angles to the pavement's centerline. These may be caused by shrinkage or differential thermal stress of the asphalt concrete, or may be reflective cracks. Transverse cracking. Cracks, approximately parallel to the pavement's centerline. These are caused by poorly constructed construction joints and shrinkage of asphalt concrete surface. Longitudinal cracking. Progressive disintegration of the surface between the wheel paths, caused by dripping of gasoline or oil from vehicles. Drip track raveling. The extruding of bitumen onto the pavement surface, causing a reduction in skid resistance. It is generally caused by excessive amounts of asphalt in the mix, or low air voids content. It occurs when asphalt fills the voids in the mix during hot weather, and then exudes out onto the surface of the pavement. Bleeding, or flushing. Elevation differences between adjacent slabs at transverse joints. It is usually the result of pumping, and is a major source of Portland concrete pavement structure. Faulting. Localized, upward buckling, and shattering of the slabs at transverse joint, or cracks. They can occur when transverse joints are filled with incompressible solid materials. Blow-ups. The breakdown or disintegration of slab edges at joints or cracks, usually resulting in the loss of sound concrete and the progressive widening of joint or crack. Joint spalling. A series of interconnected or interlaced cracks caused by fatigue failure of the asphalt concrete surface under repeated traffic loading. Alligator cracking. Cracks, forming large interconnected polygons, usually with sharp corners or angle. These cracks are generally caused by hardening and shrinkage of the asphalt and/or reflection cracking from underlying layers, such as cement-treated base. Block cracking. It is the timing of signals in relationship to one another, so that vehicles traveling at a predetermined speed can pass through the greens of successive signals. Signal coordination. The speed at which vehicles are presumed to travel through coordinated signal system is known as blank. Speed of progression. The time difference between the beginning and end of through band at any point is known as blank. Bandwidth. The red, yellow, or green light that is displayed to driven in a given movement is called blank. Indication. The time required for one complete sequence of signal indication is called blank. Cycle. The time required for one complete sequence of signal indication is called blank. Delay. The time spent in decelerating and accelerating the vehicle, in opening and closing doors. Clearance time. Headways, such that the vehicles are just filled at the maximum load point on the route. Capacity headway. The action of flattening poured concrete into a smooth, flat layer prior to finishing the surface. Screeding. This view has elevation as its vertical axis, and horizontal distance, measured perpendicular to the centerline, as its horizontal axis. Geometric cross-section. It refers to establishment of horizontal and vertical alignments and cross-section, based on considerations such as operating characteristic of vehicles, design standards, and drainage. Geometric design. It refers to the physical or environmental conditions, or work, or employment, which substantially comply with the provisions of these standards. Safety. Capacity for two-lane highway ranges from blank. (2,000 to 2,800 passenger car equivalents per hour). The primary consideration in the design of geometric cross-sections for highways, runways, and taxiways is blank. Drainage. Blank requires installing aluminium hydraulic or other types of supports to prevent soil movement and cave-ins. Shoring. If the equal sides of an isosceles triangle are given, what length of the third side will provide maximum area. Two times the length. The maximum volume that can be placed in the bucket without spillage, based on a specified angle of repose for the material. Heaped volume involves dropping a heavy weight from a crane onto the ground surface to achieve soil densification. Dynamic compaction. Some ways in which productivity can be increased and costs minimized during construction include the following. All of the above. Poor construction management practices, on the other hand, often result in one or more of the following. All of the above. The simplest rail capacity problem is that involving rail rapid transit system. These usually have the following characteristic. All of the above. Hydraulics and principles of geotechnical engineering. The water content of soil could be greater than 100%. A granular soil deposit is considered medium if the blow count of a standard penetration test is between blank. Between 4 to 10. The admixture of coarser particles, like sand and silt to clay, causes decrease in both liquid limit and plasticity index. The shear strength of a cohesion soil is blank. Proportional to the tangent of the angle of shearing resistance. The quantity of seepage of water through soils is proportional to both coefficient of permeability and total head loss through the soil. Involves dropping a heavy weight from a crane onto the ground surface to achieve soil densification. Dynamic compaction. In a triangular channel section, the most economical section is achieved when sloping sides make an angle of blank with vertical. (45 degrees). A granular soil deposit is considered medium if the blow count of a standard penetration test is between blank. "10 to 30. Which is not a characteristic of soil mass. Gas. In an open tube, what is the shape of a mercury? Curved up. What test is not performed in laboratory? Vein test. One of the following is not a characteristic of cohesionless soils. High shear strength. Which of the following is not a component of soil mass? None of these. Molecules of liquid gets attracted to blank. Surface tension. The weight per unit volume of a liquid at a standard temperature and pressure is called specific weight. In civil engineering, soil is uncemented aggregate. Specific weight of liquid. Does not vary on any other planet. Negative skin friction on piles. All of the above. The metacentric height is the distance between center of the gravity of the floating body and the metacenter. When the metacenter of a floating body is lower than the center of gravity, then the body will be in unstable equilibrium. The intensity of vertical stress at a depth due to a point load acting on the surface of a semi-infinite elastic soil mass is directly proportional to the square of depth. The shear strength of a cohesionless soil is proportional to the tangent of the angle of shearing resistance. If the volume of voids is equal to the volume of solids, what is the porosity and void ratio equal to, respectively? .5 and 1. Where is the metacenter for stable equilibrium? above the center of gravity. Molecules of liquid gets attracted to surface tension. Angle of friction. In ASHTO, soil greater than 75 millimeters is classified as cobbles. Ratio of weight of water to the weight of solid particles. Water content. What test is not performed in laboratory? Vane test. In what plane is the additional stress can affect the shear stress? Horizontal plane. Triaxial shear test acts on what axis? All plane axis, except X and Y axis. The shear strength of a soil. Increases with increase in normal stress. Blank is a device used to determine the underrange shear strength of the soil, which consists of 4 equal-sized, thin steel plates, welded to a steel torque rod. The vane is pushed into the soil, and torque is applied at the top of the torque rod to rotate the vane at a uniform speed to cause failure. Shear vane. Blank is the most used property used in soil properties. Void ratio. Blank is a branch of hydraulics, which deals with the study of forces, including velocity and acceleration, exerted by or upon liquids in motion. Hydrodynamics. Blank is an abrupt rise in water surface, which results from retarding water flowing at lower stage. Hydraulic jump. This occurs when a cohesionless saturated or partially saturated soil substantially loses strength and stiffness in response to an applied stress, such as shaking during an earthquake or other sudden change in stress condition, in which material that is ordinarily a solid behaves like a liquid. Liquefaction. According to section 302.2.2 of NSCP, the slope of cut surfaces shall be no steeper than is safe for the intended use, and shall be no steeper than blank. One vertical is to 2 horizontal. A pressure surge, or wave, caused when a fluid in motion is forced to stop, or change direction suddenly, is referred to, in hydraulics, as blank. Water hammer. A line, joining the points of highest elevation of water, in series of vertical open pipes, rising from a pipeline, in which water flows, under pressure, is referred to as blank. Hydraulic grade line. If the groundwater table, in a soil formation, rises as a resulting of flooding, the bearing capacity of the soil, blank. Decreases. One of the following foundation conditions does not affect the bearing capacity of the supporting soil. Load imposed on the soil. A type of flow where at any instant the amount of fluid particles passing through a pipe section is constant. Steady. According to USCS, particles with size greater than 75 millimeters are called blank. Cobble. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a cohesionless soil? Practically impermeable. In standard penetration test, medium dense sand have number of blows of blank. (30 to 50). The ratio of the volume of void to the total volume of soil. Porosity. The ratio of the volume of water to the volume of voids. Water content. The pressure exerted onto a liquid is transmitted equally and undiminished to all portions of the liquid. This principle in fluid mechanics is known as blank. Pascals. In any stream flowing steadily, without friction, the total energy contained is the same at every point in its path of flow. This principle is attributed to blank. Bernoulli. Which of the following is not a characteristic of cohesive soil? Possess low shear strength. When the path lines of the individual particles of a flowing liquid are irregular curves, and continually cross each other, and form a complicated network, the flow is called blank. Turbulent. A line, joining the points of highest elevation of water, in a series of vertical open pipes, rising from a pipeline, in which water flows under pressure, is referred to as blank. Hydraulic gradient. A pressure surge, or wave, caused when a fluid in motion is forced to stop or change direction suddenly, is referred to in hydraulics as blank. Water hammer. Which component of a rock or soil is independent of interparticle friction? Cohesion. A phenomenon in which the strength and stiffness of a soil is reduced by earthquake shaking or other rapid loading. Liquefaction. A pile of sand keeps from spreading out like a liquid, because the weight of the sand keeps the grains stuck together in their current arrangement, mostly out of static friction. This weight and pressure is called effective stress. Which of the following is not a soil component? Gas. A practice or procedure used to assess the particle size distribution of a granular material. The size distribution is often of critical importance to the way the material performs in use. Sieve analysis. According to USCS, what do you call a soil grain with grain size greater than 4.75 millimeters, but less than 75 millimeters? Gravel. Which of the following does not affect the settlement of a footing? None of these. Which of the following states the law of buoyancy? Archimedes. A flow in which the velocity of the fluid at a particular fixed point does not change with time. Steady flow. Section 302.4.1 NSCP. Steepness of the fill shall not exceed blank. One is to 2. Section 302.2.2 NSCP. Steepness of the cut shall not exceed blank. One is to 2. The elastic tendency of liquids, which makes them acquire the least surface area possible. It is responsible, for example, when an object, or insect, such as mosquitoes, that is denser than water, is able to float, or run along the water's surface. surface tension. The ratio between the volume of water and the volume of voids. Degree of saturation. The ratio between the volume of voids and the volume of soil mass. Porosity. The ratio between the weight of water and the weight of solid particles. Moisture content.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. And sa mga nanonood nitong video, kung nagustuhan po ninyo ang ating video tutorial, pindutin nyo lang po ang ating like button. And then, kung hindi pa kayo nakapag-subscribe sa ating channel, click nyo lang din po ang subscribe button. At sa TikTok, pwede nyo rin po ako i-follow doon kung gusto nyo. And then sa Facebook, follow nyo rin po ako doon. Click follow lang. And then yun, maraming salamat po ulit sa inyo. And kita-kita po tayo sa ating susunod na problem. Inshallah.